TV. I am your host, Dr. Tiffany Wade. I have a very special and amazing guest on the show. I'm so excited to have Miss Michelle Lovett. She is on the show. So go ahead, Michelle, and tell everybody a little bit more about yourself and all the things that you got going on. I know you got your books, your films, everything that you're doing. Go ahead and tell everybody a little bit more about yourself.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me, Tiffany. It's always a pleasure. A general to another general. So, thank you again for having me. My name is Michelle Lovett. I am from Florida City, town in Miami, right? But I reside here in Atlanta, Georgia. I am a four-time best-selling author. I have written in other people's books as well. I mean, sometimes we neglect to say that, so I don't want to neglect that today, right? I'm an award-winning actress, so they say, I guess, and publisher, producer. And I have my own health and wellness company. I also have TV channel on the Now Network, which is called Mimi All Over Productions channel. I'm a curator coach. I teach people how to do what I do, right? And then I have this baby that I've been loving on, and we're coming up on our third year, which is now called Generals, Bosses, and Bossettas Platinum Awards Gala. And we have it here in Atlanta, Georgia. We have done it in Miami. And then I just decided I'm going to keep it here in Atlanta for now. And yeah, so I'm all over the place here. I probably forgot some of the things that I even do. And first and foremost, I'm a child of God, and I belong to the late Gloria Lovett and Benny Lovett. So I am somebody's daughter.
Yes, yes. Can't forget the mom and pops, huh?
I'm trying to tell you.
Well, thank you so much, Michelle, for coming on the show. So tell us a little bit more about your books and what inspired you to become an author.
So my books is called Life, Love, and Lockup. It is a series. So right now we're currently on volume 4, which that was published about 2 years ago. Um, Someone I call my coach inspired me to even get out here. I tell the story all the time, which is the honest truth. He said, write your own book, Michelle, right? But I wanted to share the blessing. I also found it a way by doing that, teaming up with other people whose story kind of coincide with mine. That gives me an opportunity, and at the time gave me an opportunity to become more familiar, become more relaxed and okay with telling my true story. And so I would just give him a little bit, inch by inch. And it is the titles, I think, that I provide. I come up with the titles. God gives them to me. I think that is what has kept people coming back to read for more info, to find out what's really going on. And then we have the documentaries. And so they're like, oh, if I don't read all of it, I can go over here and watch the documentary, which I tell people go right ahead. In fact, I think that I always like to say something new on people's show. I think that this year, before the year's out, I'm gonna give I'm gonna give with my coach, C. Nathaniel Brown. That is who inspired me, expected in entertainment, to do this project, right? But I'm gonna get with him, and we're gonna probably dump out the bloopers starting from volume 1. Because listen, man, if people could go while we're filming and they could see, as sometimes people say, if I could be a fly on the wall, whoo, I believe the level of respect that people will have will go very high, for other people. So yeah, I think gosh, I told you, a general, put something in me, made me think. Real good, real good. Yeah. So I talk about a lot of different things. Basically, how to overcome trials, tribulations, death, betrayal. Yeah, we've all experienced all of those. But here's the thing. I think with mine, I wouldn't say it's so different than another person, but it was real deep, right? And then so much came at one time. I was about to just lose my mind. I was checking up out of here. I said, it's over. Yeah. I wanted to just go and jump on out the window.
Yeah.
I can relate with so many people that today, Tiffany, they're, whoo, girl. I just had a really good friend. I'm serious,
Mm-hmm.
who just passed, and I call it
Mm-hmm.
questionable death. And to me, questionable death is horrific. It's one of the hardest things to go through because I've experienced that with my own brother, right? Um, and here's the deal. I've been in a place where I see so many other people that's in this entertainment world. I lost my mom. Listen. I was a girl that had it going on. I'm working in the banks. I'm traveling around the world. I'm doing investigations. I'm living in my purpose. I'm what I went to school for. All of this and that, right? Boom. My mom suddenly dies. I don't know about nobody else, but I was a baby, and that's a lot for a person, right?
Mm-hmm.
A couple months later, I kept passing out at the job, and I went to the doctor, and they said you had to have a emergency total hysterectomy, which that changes your whole entire life. I was 30, and then months later, after, because it takes a while to recover for something like that. Um, so, where I would be superwoman, I really couldn't be superwoman. But after recovering from that, like months later, we get a call that my brother, who I was really, really close to, had passed. Um, and that was a questionable death for me and still is. And it resulted me to taking all kind of prescription drugs. I started abusing these drugs the doctors would give me for this so-called lupus, for this so-called hysterectomy, because after the hysterectomy, then they come back and say, you know what? I don't think that's the problem. I think it's lupus. I think I'm really fit to go now, you know. Can you imagine? Uh-oh, there's a mistake.
Wow.
Then you got the questionable death knocking on the door. Then at the same time, my dad, I felt so sorry for him. You just lost my mom. They were together 40 some years. But then he's trying to find his way. He finds himself into another relationship at a late age.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another story for another day.
Mm-hmm.
But so for me, I realized at that moment, shh, we got work to do. And so that's volume one. We got work to do. And I go dig in. I know I really dig into it, but not what I don't give you the whole meat like what I'm gonna really give you soon. I've been talking about this book of mine for a while, but I keep telling people I can't put it out until God tells me. Like it's serious with me because I know what it's going to do first and foremost. I continue to tell people maybe God is just letting you go first for whatever reason. Because you know I've got the wits, I've got the means, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just still won't do it. And it's not because I'm lazy. It's only I'm gonna act and move when God tells me to. And so after all of that pain, it took me to volume two. My pain became my character because I began to get in all kind of stage plays I could find, and I would always be like, "Ooh, I hope I get this character," and the character would be acting out,
Mm-hmm.
and that was my way of masking my pain. And then when it settled down a little bit, I could see that not everybody's against me. I do have appointed angels. Somebody cares on this earth. Because when you go through something like that, Tiffany, the things, the cycles, it'll make you shut down. It'll make you say, no. Because if we keep it real, every time you bury somebody,
Yeah.
you're going to have some family issues. I still am not talking to my sisters. And it's 100 years later in a real sense, you know? So,
Yeah.
so you go through these things. And then so at that point I felt so alone. Dad's in a relationship. They're not talking to me. They're telling me to choose. I'm not choosing anything. I choose God. And I stand on what I believe. So while standing on that business, I felt lonely. But then there was someone that knocked on the door and said, "Here, I'm here. Because God ain't coming down here himself and knock on my door. But he works through the hearts and minds of people.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to understand that. And so finally, when I got my breakthrough, I stopped right there. Um, and I said, you know what? I can be cracked, but I'm not damaged. I still got work to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I got in my bag. And the rest is history.
Wow. I can't wait to read all of those books, man, because to hear your story and what you've been through and what you've overcome, a lot of people would have just said, forget this.
Well, I tried. I would be at the clubs, and you do the math. I'm gonna give it to you, and you do the math. I'm trying to take all the Xanaxes. I'm trying to take Ambiens. I'm trying to take Oxycontin. I'm trying to take Percocet. I'm drinking all the liquor I can drink. I'm passed out. And God still ain't letting me go. I keep waking up. Why? Because you still got work to do, Michelle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When it's not your time and God has so much more for you to do, I don't care what you try to do, it's not gonna work. That reminds me of a movie called I think it's called The Breath of Life or something like that. I saw it a couple of months ago. It was a man. It took place in Africa. A man. He was trying to do everything to literally kill himself. He even took a gun to try to do it. It
Jeez.
didn't work.
Mm.
Everything he tried to do, it did not work because he lost all his family in one day. So he tried to do everything, and then a couple of like years later, a young man comes to the house to help him, and then he helps him rebuild his church. He does a lot of different things, help him get back into ministry, and then the young man gets sick with I think some type of lung disease. He couldn't breathe, and
Mm.
so the man ended up being a candidate for the young man's lung transplant. And that was his time to go. God took him home, but he was able to give his lungs to the young man so he could continue on the legacy of the church. And he adopted that young man as his son. So
So he
sometimes,
kept breathing some kind of way still.
yeah, he was still breathing through him. So when you think you're done with your own life, God says, "No, I have a greater plan for you." And the plan that He has for your life is not just for your life; it's for others.
Amen.
So you're able to touch millions of people and bring souls to Christ. And see, the enemy, he knew that, so he tried to do everything he can to mess with your mind, to take your mind, because that's where he starts your mind, to get you sorrowful, to get you depressed, angry, anxious.
Mm-hmm.
And now that you've realized that and you know what your purpose is, you're going full force. And it's just an honor to have you on the show to talk about these things, because you don't know who may listen to this that's out there that's going through their moments that you've already overcome because of
Yeah.
God's grace.
Yeah, and His
So,
mercy. The both of
yeah.
those kept me. And that's why I share it. I came from a real private family. I tell people all the time. Uh, but I knew that I had to almost become an open book. Tiffany, I was doing live before there was a live in real life.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to reach people. That's how crazy I was. I call it crazy. Telling the business, speaking on the business. But because I knew that there was a way, that was my way of helping somebody. I know there's a lot of people that suffer with depression. There's a lot of people that want to be checking up out of here. They could have all the money in the world.
Yeah.
See,
They're
and
not.
then when you're successful, a lot of times, I tell people all the time, I have